and thank you for joining us tonight on News 1. Most of you know the saying, in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue. However, Columbus also started a world-changing movement known as the Columbian Exchange. This was a massive trade between the Old and New World, trading ideas, crops, animals, and much more. It connected almost all of the world through new networks of trade and exchange. The rise of plantation farming and cash crops pretty much reinvented the economy. European settlers brought many plants and animals from Afro-Eurasia to the Americas. Europeans brought horses, cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs, among others. Europeans also brought wheat, barley, rye, sugar, bananas, and citrus. And this changed the economy and revolutionized cuisines in the Old World. It is difficult to imagine Italian food without tomatoes, Indian food without chili peppers, or Irish food without potatoes. Yet, before the Columbian Exchange, none of these crops were known in Europe, Asia, or Africa. Potatoes were from the Americas and became a common food of the people in places like Ireland. It led to massive population growth and increasing urbanization. Now we have Carter, who will explain the significance of potatoes.
Potatoes were first harvested by hunters around 1000 CE. The potato thrived in the Andes, which is where potato production and storage began. Potatoes can be left in the ground for weeks, unlike northern European grains such as rye and barley, which will spoil if not harvested when ripe. They were traded from the Andes Mountains of South America to Europe, Asia, and Africa. Farmers in parts of East and South Asia adopted the potato, which improved agricultural returns in cool and mountain regions. Freeze-dried potatoes helped fuel the expansion of the Inca Empire in the 15th century. Potatoes fed workers in Europe's manufacturing cities, which indirectly contributed to Europeans' industrial empires.
Thank you, Carter. We will now be turning to an interview in Genoa, Italy. Genoa, Italy was a major port of the Mediterranean. In this interview, a local civilian will be explaining the importance of how trade worked here during the Columbian Exchange.
Genoa, Italy was a very important port during the Columbian Exchange. Many people relied on this port to get goods that were imported from the Americas. Not only was Genoa, Italy's port a staple for the country of Italy, but a staple for the majority of the Mediterranean. Even today, the port remains a very important place for many in the area and even worldwide.
Well, thank you, Wesley. As the Columbian Exchange is widely known for its boost of the economy through the trading of crops, animals, ideas, and food, it also had a darker side. Unfortunately, along with these beneficial gains came losses due to disease. The diseases that came from Europe resulted in many natives falling to illness since their immune systems were not prepared for such. Some of these diseases included smallpox, measles, cholera, and much more. These diseases were so impactful that it is estimated that upward of 80 to 95% of natives were killed by the diseases new to them. Although these diseases were deadly to many, everyone needs to remember the positive impacts the Columbian Exchange had on our world while still being educated on the negatives.
Thank you, Matt. It's always good to have someone like him with us. He is an absolute wealth of information. So, as you can see, this voyage taken by Christopher Columbus so long ago has shaped our world into what it is today. The massive amount of trade between the Old and New World has distributed more things than we could possibly count. Also, the fact that this was a global exchange brought about mass change, both positive and negative for both worlds. The positives were the fact that so many crops, animals, and ideas were traded. And although a negative was the mass amounts of disease that spread, the goods definitely outweigh the bad. Anyway, that's all we have for this segment. Thank you for joining us on News 1.